All right, so this is where we left off, which is we finished the chest section and the neck. So now let's start building the abs and the torso and the sides. Now, if I go back to my original scene, this is what I had done with the abs, which is I just had like these wires running, along the front. But this is very similar to what I have done with the neck, which is essentially just select the bottom curve and the top curve and just do a skin and do a ray sop and then extract curves. So this would be just a repeat, right? Like there's no point in doing that. So I did do something interesting with the abs which I didn't use, and that's what we will take a look at. So initially this is what I had done with the abs, okay, which was I had built like armor plating. So instead of seeing like how to do the wires thing, which is essentially the exact same stuff, this is what we'll take a look at. Okay, so because there was something interesting here in terms of not just building the armor, but I managed to build like this thing that looks a little bit like clothing. So it's like armor stuck on top of clothing. So this is what we'll take a look at. So I'll just come back to my original scene and we'll come back here to the Voronoi fracture and let's bring out, this section. So again, let's just, let's take this down a little and then I'm going to plug in an alt here. And again, let's do Control-C, Control-V and bring this out. Let's just see what it's called. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, I think it's called abs. So let's just come in here and we'll do abs and yeah, perfect. Okay, and then I can just take a null out abs and then do the same thing. So just take an object merge, drop it in there. This will be a circle and red. Okay, and this we can make it like it's supposed to be yellow. Okay, so do Control X and then zoom out and let's come here. We'll do Control V. Okay, so the first thing is I want to break this up a little further. So I'm going to firstly, let's just take a delete and we'll take an attribute delete and let's get rid of pretty much everything. I think I might have some stuff here, so let's get rid of that as well. Or let's just get rid of the normals. Okay, we'll keep the texture parameters. Okay, so the first thing is I want to break this up into, let's say, 4 pieces. So I can just take a line. Yeah, again, let's go back to the camera view and we'll lock it. This is really irritating. I don't know what to do about it, but it just keeps sort of, rotating randomly. Okay, and then I can just take this and we will move it up. Like if you want, we can try to do like a bounding box and move it. So I can just take a null here. We'll call it abs size. And then if I want this to move to like the base over here, I can come to the y-axis and we can do a B box and make it, we need to find out which, where we are getting our geometry from. So that is the abs. And then we'll do d underscore y min. Yeah, sorry, close the bracket. Yeah, there we go. See, so it sort of comes in over there. And then I also wanted to move in Z to the max. Okay, so just do Control C and Control V. And then let's try Z. Yeah, there you go. Actually, no, let's try Z max. Yeah, I think it's okay. Hold on a second. What happened here? Oh. Yeah, okay. That got deleted by mistake. Okay, so this is good. Just take the length of this and we'll make it slightly bigger. And we'll do a Voronoi fracture. So this and that. So it should give us, it should break it up in 2 pieces. You're seeing problems because it's trying to generate inside pieces, so turn that off. And let's do a color, make it random. Yeah, so we get like, come down here to cell point attributes and pick up color. Okay, but we want about, let's try 4 points. Yeah, I think this is okay. If you want, you can try to rotate it a little bit. That might look a little better. Okay, so we can just take the transform here and maybe just see. So if you spin it, it gives you like, you know, you can sort of spin it around like that. But this is fine. I think this is good. Okay. Maybe, yeah, 4 points is good enough. Okay, so now that this is done, what we want to do is we want to extrude these naturally, but I want it to, you know, get some kind of a fancier shape. Like this is just straight lines. So what we'll do is we're going to take a for each and go into for each named primitive. Okay, and then the first thing we'll do is we're going to take an attribute warp, and we'll do the same thing that we've done before for the circuit lines, which is we'll do a color by bounding box. Okay, so I'm just going to take a color. Sorry, I'm going to just jump in here and we'll do relative to bounding box and plug this in, and the same thing. So we'll just do a vector to float and a ramp, take the y-axis and just plug it in. Sorry, and not in position, we want to go into color. Okay, so this is fine. Now what I can do is, let's just take this and we'll kind of just bring this in a little bit and bring that up a little bit, so it's a little more stronger. Yeah, so if we look at it here, this is what we have. Okay, which is good. Now what we'll do is we're going to scatter some points. So just do a scatter, and we just want like a few points, about 7 or 8 points. I think that should be good enough. And then we're going to do a group by expression, and we're going to call it like A and B. Okay, so A will be everything on top. Okay, so we'll do at cd.r greater than 0.8, select points. Yeah, so we have like those two. Let's try 0.7. Yeah, okay. And then we want B, which will be just the reverse of this. So at cd.r less than 0.5. Yeah, so everything below. Okay, so this is done. And now what we want to do is we want to convert these into clusters. So we want to manually build our own clusters, right? So I'm going to take a wrangle, and then I'll just take this is supposed to be an integer, so I at cluster. Okay, and this will be A is equal to 0, and we can call this as cluster A, and the same thing we'll repeat it. So this will be cluster B, and that will be a value of 1, and this goes to cluster B. Okay, and then we are going to break this up again. Okay, so we're just going to do a Voronoi fracture again, and let's just also take an attribute delete. So we'll just delete, you know, like the name primitive or whatever that we have here. Yeah, okay. And I'm going to bring this in, turn off the piece stuff, and copy cell point attributes. We'll pick up cluster and bring this in. So you should get to see like pieces like this. The only problem is that because we're building this manually, you won't be able to see the colors of the cluster. But we can sort of see that on our own. So what I can do is I can just take a color. Let's get rid of the color as well. And I can just take a color node, and we can say ramp from attribute and type in cluster. And what that should do is you should be able to see, yeah, I think it's at primitive level. There you go. So cluster 0 is on top and cluster 1 is below. And then if we make some changes here, actually let's do one thing. In the group expression, we'll just create A. Okay, we won't create B. And then we'll do a group combine and do a reverse. Okay, so we will do points. We'll do B is not equal to A. So that makes it, you know, better. So there you go. And then if I come back here and I make some changes, let's say if you make it 0.7, see, so the piece becomes smaller. And then what I can do is I can just take this and I can take a delete, and I can say delete selected, we'll do by expression. I'll do at cluster, so less than 0.5. And there you go. So it just deletes everything on top. And what we can do is, in order to make sure that it randomizes, we'll just come in here to the global seed and I'll do like an at time. So what that will do is, like, every frame it keeps changing and you'll get different shapes. So you can increase the number to get something different or lower the number. Yeah, so what that should do is, like, if we come in here now to the final thing, see, so what you get is something a little more interesting, where the shape keeps sort of, it cuts through everything and gives you more interesting looking shapes. So we can try to make it a little bit better. Yeah, see. So this is what you end up getting. And then the rest is fairly simple. So I'm just going to take this and we'll do a fuse. Okay, we'll merge all the points together. Again, if you just want to test it and make sure that all the points are merged, which I don't think they are. Yeah, just do a group. This is not necessary, but it's a good way to see it. And group edges and just, look at unshared edges, and there you go. Okay, so if the fuse is not merging everything together, so you'll get to see something like this, which means, you just come back up and, adjust it. Okay, and then we can do a poly extrude. And yeah, just, extrude this. We'll do output front and back. Maybe scale it down a little bit, not a lot. Or let's do one thing before that. Okay, I don't want a center line, so we'll just mirror this first. So I'm going to do a mirror. So let's do a mirror before we do this. Yeah, let's do one thing. Let's take a group and we'll select everything here and just push it to 0. Okay, so we'll do a wrangle. Or sorry, just take a group by expression. Yeah, take a group, group expression, and we'll call it Z. And I want to take at p.x less than 0.1. Yeah, that's a little too much. Let's try 0.01. Yeah, okay. So we have everything here, and then I can just take a wrangle and Z, and we can do at p.x is equal to 0. So it just flattens everything. Let's do the fuse after that. So it'll automatically just get rid of all of those points in the middle. Okay, and then we can do a mirror, and hopefully the poly extrude should be fine now. And there you go. See, the subdivider is also fine. So yeah, you need to do a little bit of cleanup work because it does cause problems. Okay, so this is fine. And then we can just do a normal to make sure that, everything looks fine. There you go. So if we bring this out, you should get something a lot better. So now what we have is, something that looks more interesting. Yeah, if you're getting problems like these, that means the fuse is broken. Yeah, I think the simpler option is to do a VDB. That's why I do a VDB because sometimes even if you do all of this, it still causes problems. Okay, so the simpler option is we'll just extrude this a little bit, and then I'm going to do a VDB from polygon, and let's do 0.01. Okay. And let's do a subdivide just to see if everything looks fine. Yeah, 0.8. Okay, and then we can just do a VDB smooth and convert to polygons. Alright, so the file crashed. I guess something went wrong and I had to sort of redo the whole thing again. But yeah, there we go. So this is our basic shape. It pretty much holds up, So you get like these nice little patterns. You could probably do like a Batman suit or something with this. Okay, so once you've done this much, like this gives you the basic, ab shape that we want. What we are going to do is whatever is remaining, I wanted to look a little bit like clothing. Okay, so I'm just going to take this out here to the side. Let's bring it down. Okay, and firstly, we'll subdivide this a few times. Okay, so I'm just going to take this and subdivide it, say a couple of times. And then what I want to do is using this pattern that we have. So whatever is open, I want to sort of displace it a little bit. Okay, that's essentially what I want to do. So we're going to do a color to this. So I'll just do a color, make it black, and we'll do a color here. Right, and we'll make it, or hold on, we'll make this black and we'll make this white. And then we'll do an attribute transfer. So we just want to transfer the color to just like a fairly small area. Yeah, so about like that much. And then you can also increase the sample count to make it slightly smoother. So if you make it like 100, it becomes a little smoother. Okay, but yeah, this is roughly what we want, and we can try to smoothen it out a little more. So you can just bring in a smooth here, and we want to smooth CD, and then I can take a noise. So take an attribute noise, and we can further multiply it with the noise. Okay, so I just want to take it to CD, but signature should be 1D. Okay, and this should be multiplicative, so it will just multiply with this. And what I want to do is we wanted to go horizontal, so I'm going to take, like, let's just lower the element scale a little bit. We want to lower the roughness, and then in the y-axis we'll make it 0.1. So so you'll get it like this, so it's like horizontal like that. And then we can try to do a displace with this, right? So let's take a displace. Or let's take an attribute warp. There's nothing called a displace. And we'll call it displace. And I'll jump in and do a vector to float. So we just want like, one of the channels. And we'll do a displace along normal and plug this into position. Yeah. And then just, like a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, so what it should do for us is if I merge these together, it will look a little fancy, like if I mirror this. See, so what you get is, let's give this a color. Let's get that measure thing back that we had. Okay, so here we are, and then I have my measure. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we'll do it for both. So I can just take this and drop it in there. So I'll get, this. And what happens is like the middle stuff looks like, you have the armor on top of clothing. So it looks a little more fancy. Okay. What you can also do is if you want the borders to sort of go in like it's actual clothing, we can do something a little more interesting. So I can come in here and we'll do a divide. Or hold on, let's just do this, right? So I'm going to come in here to this point, okay? And then I'm going to do a group, and we want to group the points, we'll call it ED, and I want to select all the unshared edges, so everything on the border, and then give this a color as well. Make it ED, and this will be black. So all the edges are like completely black, see, like that. And let's do one thing. Let's bring this before the noise and before the smooth. So what will happen is that the smoothing will sort of blend this out as well. And so what the displace will end up doing is, see, you'll get like the edge to be sticking where it is. So when you mirror it, you get this nice little fold in the middle. Okay, like you can take the smooth and maybe adjust a little bit more. But yeah, so this is kind of, what you can do. And then we can try to do the same measure thing here, which is, I can take this and drop it in there. Yeah, and maybe you can just try to force this in a little more like that. See, so you get something, nice and fancy looking. Okay. We can try to make this, I don't know, a little bit brighter. Okay. And then we can merge it in. So we'll take a null here, do an out abs. Okay. And object merge. And bring it in, and let's save the file and see what we get. Oh yeah, hold on, normal. I'll just plug it in here for now. We'll add it in later over there. Yeah, but there you go, see. So this gives you something a little more fancy. So if you're trying to build like a full body armor, this is sort of the way to go. Okay, so in the next lesson, I'll keep this relatively simpler. I want to create the the side muscles, and it's mostly the same thing, but there's just one small sort of interesting little trick in there, so which is why I want to cover it, and then we'll start working on the arms. So yeah, so we'll take a look at the sides in the next video.